Hello and welcome to Fast Horses Today. Today is Saturday. It is January 24th, and I'm going to be covering a couple races over at Santa Anita. If you are betting the big Pegasus card over at Gulfstream, they've got a big race card there with a lot of big races. Some very wide open events, I feel. Best of luck to you if you're going to be dipping in over there at Gulfstream Park. I'll definitely be watching the races at Gulfstream. I want to see some nice performances and see how, some horses develop, out of those races there. So it'll be nice to watch. But I'm going to make a couple win bets over at Santa Anita today. I feel it's kind of a light card, light in the fact that I'm not sure what type of value if you're betting multi-race wagers. So I just have a couple, win bets that I want to make. The first race of the day, they do start over there at Santa Anita at, it's 12:30 Pacific, so 2:30 here in the Central Time Zone. I am going to skip over the first several races, and I'm going to move over to the fifth race. Fifth race of the day has an approximate post time about 2:30 Pacific time, so that's 4:30 here in the Central Time Zone. Fifth race is it's a mile and an eighth on the grass. These are maiden special weight. These are fillies, and these are 3-year-olds. So maybe we'll see some nice horses come out of this race, possibly some future stars. We'll see. But what I do have is I got a win bet on the 4-horse being Victorious Dream. Victorious Dream comes out of the Michael McCarthy barn. McCarthy legs up Victor Espinoza here. Now, I don't recall Victor Espinoza riding for Michael McCarthy in the past. I know Victor has taken his tack back to Los Angeles, and that's where his home is. And it's probably a good idea for him to do that. I think there are definitely a lot of wins available there in California nowadays. With Flavian Pratt leaving there, offers up probably a lot of wins. And a day like today, Umberto Rispoli's not riding there. He's over at Gulfstream. So there's several races that, there's win potential there. So a guy like Victor Espinoza certainly hasn't forgotten how to ride. And, he can still get it done. And especially, I think, like races on the turf, 2-turn races on the turf, I think guys like Victor Espinoza, Mike Smith, guys who've been around for a while, they have an advantage because, they're smart. They've been around the track many times. And, I think that they do well in the long races and certainly the long distance turf races. So being this is a mile and an eighth, is a mile and maiden special weight. Michael McCarthy got this horse over from Europe. He had one start over at Del Mar back in the fall in November. He just kind of ran an even race. Didn't really break out too well, and seemed to be a little bit uncomfortable in the beginning of the race. So I think it was kind of like put the cue in the rack time for that horse. I think the race was even enough. I do like Michael McCarthy in races second time. With Michael McCarthy, I think they certainly do improve. They become more effective in his program. So 2-1, certainly not a secret here. I think we'll probably get somewhere around there. This race seems to be a little bit open. I think the Victorious Dream should do really well here at this mile and an eighth. And I think, second time Michael McCarthy, second time, off the boat. I think this horse will be ready to run today, and it's worth a win bet. All right, now we're going to move over to the seventh race of the day. Seventh race is another mile and an eighth on the grass. This is a first level allowance race, and these are fillies, 4-year-olds and up. And I'll tell you something, in handicapping the races at Santa Anita, seems like they have so many more fillies and mares than they do, the boys there in the population. So wonder what that's all about, but it just seems like they're carding a lot of races for fillies and mares. So, just an observation. I don't think it really means anything, but if you've got fillies and mares, you're probably going to be able to get into races. They probably will fill much more quickly. Maybe they just don't have enough males there in the population. But anyway, seventh race, as I mentioned, mile and an eighth. It's a first level allowance race. I do have a win bet here that I want to make. That being on the 7-horse, who is Take a Breath for Mark Glatt. Mark Glatt legs up Ismael Jaramillo. And Ismael has really been riding well over at Santa Anita, and it probably should come at no surprise. He's done a lot of great work over in South Florida over the years. He wins a lot of races. And the move to Southern California, word had it that it was kind of spurred on by Doug O'Neill. And it certainly fits very well with this jockey colony. He does a nice work in all different type of races. I don't know if Ismael Jaramillo is looking to become like the leading jock, win jockey titles. I don't know if he's doing volume like that, but he certainly is capable to do that. So he's got this horse 4-1 in the program. I think that she really sets up nicely in this race, in this first level allowance race. Now, she's had 4 starts stateside. She originally came over from England, and she showed up in the summertime over at Del Mar. Ran in the Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks. So that was, of course, Grade 1. Nice race there, some very nice horses. I thought she ran a very respectable race. Followed that up with an allowance race. And, of course, she ended up being favorite there. People saw the nice race in the Grade 1. She's dropping down. Got herself into a world of trouble that day and just really didn't finish up. So, I probably draw a line through that one and give her a pass. And watching the film, her trouble was certainly, more than enough to show that poor finish, to kind of be the reason she had that poor finish. What kind of makes me wonder is that, I don't know what happened to her in the Grade 3 Autumn Miss. I would have expected a little bit better run. Just kind of an even race. I don't know exactly. Maybe she just didn't like that. Sometimes it's pretty hot there in Southern California at Santa Anita during that fall meet. Maybe the turf course a little hard. I don't know. But she had a little bit of tough trip as well. She was not able to save much ground. So maybe those are factors. I do like the race that she ran at her most recent race in the American Oaks. So that being a Grade 1. Always a big-time race they run on opening day when Santa Anita opens, and nice horses show up for that race. Being a Grade 1, it's a nice purse. They're running 1.25 miles. So, if you've got 3-year-old fillies, they're going to show up for that race. I thought she ran a very nice race that day. I read Ortiz was in the ride. Ortiz was there, to ride several that day, including Take a Breath. I thought she ran a really nice race. I think it'll set her up nicely for this 1 1/8 race, and I really feel like Jaramillo will make the difference. I think we're going to see some really nice things from this jock and, a lot of wins because, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of wins to be had there in Southern California. So, a guy like Ismael Jaramillo is going to be a big factor. So, Take a Breath, 4-1. I think, we'll probably get somewhere around there. And I do think she's a win bet today. All right, now let's recap the day and recap the bets at Santa Anita. Okay, so for Saturday, January 24th, over at Santa Anita, we've got a couple win bets. We're going to start out in the 5th race with the 4-horse, Victorious Dream. The 7th race, the 7, Take a Breath. Now, those are the 2 win bets I'm going to make. If you decide to make those bets, I wish you the best of luck. If you want to use those in your multi-race wagers, I wish you the best of luck there. If you're playing the pick 3s, pick 4, pick 5, whatever you decide to do, best of luck to you. Let's wish the folks over at Santa Anita a very safe day of racing today. Let's wish ourselves some good luck and some good trips. We know that matters in getting winners. So as always, I wish you the best of luck, as I said, and thank you so much for watching Fast Horses today and listening to the picks. If you haven't done so, please do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button for me. Doesn't cost anything. It just delivers the content to you. You can always like, dislike, make comments, make good comments, make bad comments. I appreciate them all, and I promise to respond to everything. So again, thanks so much for tuning in. Let's try to have a great day here at Santa Anita and, all around the country where you're betting. Again, best of luck, and we'll have more coverage from Santa Anita for Sunday's races. Have a wonderful day, and let's get some winners at the Great Race Place.